All right, man. Ready to roll. Where you
Jason.
located at?
I am out of San Antonio. I'm in the Hill Country.
Okay. We're we're looking to move that way in the very near future.
Oh, very cool. Okay,
Uh
yeah, it's a
all
beautiful
of
area,
my
man.
Yeah, we're up there all the time. All of my wife's family is there, and we're in Dallas, dude, and it's a fucking 5-hour haul every time we drive there. Um
I don't know how
I've
you
got
do
two
it.
boys. What's that?
I don't know how you do it, man.
It's a beating, dude. I've got two boys, a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and my boys have five cousins. So my wife has two sisters and a brother. Two of those siblings have kids of their own, which makes the five cousins. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, they're all there. And so every time we have a holiday, a birthday, whatever, we're hauling ass there, and it's a beating, dude. And so yeah, we're there. I've been married for 17 years. We're there several times a year for extended times, holidays, and all that. And so it's just getting old, dude. And we're the only ones that are here. So it's time. My wife is trying to get that going on her end now, and hopefully it'll be this summer. We want to do it before the kids change schools, and we love it down there. My sister in law lives in Bernie specifically, and so we've got people all over that area, and we host our retreats down at Canyon Lake, and so it's just going to be significantly more convenient for me. I just don't like that drive, dude. It beats me down. So
Well, Canyon Lake is still a little bit of a hike from here.
it is, but it's not as big of a hike as it is from Dallas.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So
right. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
daunting. Yeah, to do that because it's 5 hours each way, and actually Canyon Lake's probably six.
dude. So for our first retreat, this was 2 years ago, October, I think. So I drove down. We had everybody fly into Austin, and then we made the mistake of having them fly back out of Austin. And now the what we do is we have them fly into Austin. We have a couple of carloads that picks them up, and then we have transportation that comes and gets them and takes them to the San Antonio airport on Sunday morning after the retreat's done. But the very first one that we did, dude, I had a guy. Uber doesn't come out to Canyon Lake, all right. So I had a guy starts pressing Uber, dude. It was the last night of the retreat. We had a little bit of whiskey, celebrating. It's 2 a.m. Okay. My client, he's trying to get Uber. It ain't happening, dude. I was like, all right, well, knock on my window whenever you're ready. I was sleeping in a fifth wheel. I get a knock on the window 3 hours later at 5. And he's like, man, I knew this was gonna happen and I'm so sorry. So I had to get up, I had to drive him to the Austin airport, drive back to Canyon Lake, get a couple more guys, drop them back off at Austin Airport, and drive all the way home. Dude, it was a 7-hour haul after hosting a 4-day event. So never again.
I don't know
Never
what it
again.
is about driving, but it's one of those daunting tasks that almost doubles its exhaustion. It feels like a
Yeah.
full work week if you drive all day.
Yeah, I don't drive a lot because I work from home, so I don't mind driving locally. Like it gives me an opportunity to get out of the house. But dude, when you're doing a 4 or 5 hour haul, that's not fun at all for
And
anyone.
and you
So
know you got to do 5 hours back.
yep, the problem is this, man. It's like for my wife is a pharmacist. Hey, I got a puppy that's chewing on my couch pillow over there. My wife is a pharmacist, and she drives 40 minutes one way to work, and so it's an absolute beating for her, right? And so she's always in the car. She doesn't understand why I want to get out of the house and do things, but every time that drive comes up, she's got to take either a Friday or a Monday off to bookend it, or it doesn't make it worth the while. Because like if we leave, say we leave Friday after work, right? She gets out. Let's say she gets out early. We leave by 3. Well, that still doesn't put us there till damn near 9 o'clock at night. So that night's wasted, right? We hang out for a little while and go to bed. Saturday's the full day. And then Sunday, if we drive back, it's another half day in the car. It's a completely wasted weekend, dude. Those weekends wear my ass out, and I don't sign up for them very often. That's for sure. So,
Uh,
yep. Anyway,
on that note,
well,
Jason,
good to know you're in San Antonio, dude. That's a great area, and I love Texas. We won't be going anywhere anytime soon, other than San Antonio. So,
I don't blame you. So, do you have to sell a house before you move? Is that something that's going to be impeding your
no,
venture?
when you say have to, we have options. Like I just had one of my friends in my network run numbers on us for both long term rental as well as Airbnb. And I don't know that we would do Airbnb to our neighbors, but it's pretty enticing. He thinks that we could crush with Airbnb here. I just don't know that being 5 hours away is what I want to do. Now they manage Airbnbs as well, and if that was an option for me, I certainly would be interested in that. But the thing with us, dude, is like we have quite a bit of equity in this home, and so it's really all going to depend on what we choose to do. The option is on the table to live with my mother-in-law for a little while, so that we're not rushed into buying a home. And I don't know that I necessarily love that idea, but in terms of getting out of this home, the homes in my neighborhood sell so quickly, and like I don't think we would have a problem with that. So depending on which way I go, I don't think that's going to strap us here for any extended time, right? Like I think whatever way we go, we'll just go and move on. I'm not going to let the house dictate my future, right? And we've always committed to that. So if I got to rent it, I got to rent it, and if I can sell it, I'll sell it. And it just depends on what we feel is the best move for us moving forward. If it was in San Antonio, I would definitely keep it, and there would be no thoughts of selling. But because it's 5 hours away, I don't know that I want to manage it from that far. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you have someone managing your stuff, it's still your stuff.
It's still my stuff, man. And the
Yeah,
problem is dude, this home was built in '96, and it's a nice home. We love the home. It's just we don't love the area, right? We're done. It's family first, and so this home was built in '96. So there are some things that need to be repaired that aren't like top priorities for us living in the home. But if we were going to do an Airbnb, like to get Superhost on Airbnb to where it stays booked a lot, like you got to keep up with shit, right? And I just don't know that I want to put a bunch of a bunch of capital into repairs and upgrades for a home that's 5 hours away. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
yeah. Well, at least you have options, and options are always the better
That's
of the
it.
two evils.
That's it. Yeah.
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 So, Jason, on that note, let's get into the fatherhood experience, man.
Let's rock it, dude. Yeah.
So, hit me from the beginning. Let me know how this started from the jump. How did this all come about?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little about my personal story, which is really where the passion for me came from. So, I came from a very checkered background, I guess you could say, a troubled childhood. Grew up without, my dad is in my life still, but minimally. Didn't really have a strong father presence in my life. My parents got divorced at I think I was like 2 and a half, 3 years old. Dad relocated here from Michigan, which is what got me to Texas. So very grateful for that, because Michigan is the last place that I would want to live right now. But with that said, had a bit of a troubled upbringing, and during that journey, I was raised in a single parent household with a mom who was an alcoholic and also smoked in the house. And so my upbringing was a bit challenging. I had to find my way as a young boy, and really kind of teach myself how to be a man, which is just that's just me getting punched in the mouth and hitting rock bottom a few times along the way. Definitely got into I have a family history of addiction in my family, lots of drug addiction on my mom's side. That also impacted me as well. I got heavily involved in drugs as a teenager. And, I'm dating myself here, and I think they still have these, but I was heavily involved in the rave scene. I was what I call a raver. And that was my jam for a while, man. And it was an escape, and I didn't realize it was an escape. Every weekend, I was looking forward to going to raves and eating acid and ecstasy. And to me, it was just fun, right? I was like I look forward to it. And now I look back on that time as, man, it was just a band-aid for the pain that I was enduring at home, right? It was an escape for me to get away from my reality, which was literally watching my mom essentially kill herself by her habits. She was highly depressed, lots of depression and anxiety. And so she would literally lay in bed all day long, start drinking wine at mid-morning, smoking cigarettes in bed, and just drink all day long. And this was like what I was exposed to. My mom would later get remarried, and this man that came into my life was never a father figure, but he was a man in the house, right? So things changed a little bit for me, but I never looked up to him as a dad. And so missing that strong male presence in my life, especially during those very critical times as a teenager, right? You're trying to find yourself, you're trying to discover yourself. And so long story short, I decided that I needed to get my head out of my ass, and I was really headed down a really dark path after high school. So I decided I was taking some classes at a community college, and I decided that I was gonna randomly decided to go to nursing school, and it was a 2 year plan, a 2 year path for me to get out of the rave scene, start making really good money as a young kid, essentially, and give me a direction. And that's really what I did. And it's crazy because becoming a nurse was never like my desire. I was taking I think I was taking like a lifespan psychology class, which was a prerequisite to go to nursing school. And there were a couple of dudes in this class that were talking about it. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna become RNs. One was like a paramedic already. Another one, I forget what it was. Ends up neither one of those dudes ever went to the nursing school that I did, or at least, and they might, I don't know where they went, but they inspired me. And so I went to nursing school, got out of there, started working in the ICU at 23 years old. That was a very eye-opening experience for me, as you can imagine. As a 23-year-old boy, I was not a man at 23. I was still very immature at 23. Still, just my head was not on straight. I had the education for the nursing side of things, but I was exposed to a lot of dark things, dude. ICU is not anywhere where I would recommend that anybody go and spend time at, unless you truly have to be there, right? And so seeing these things at a young age was probably scarred me quite a bit. Got married at 25. 2 months after, and literally 2 months after I got married, my mom passed away. She was 49. She died on September 11th, 4 years after our country had its own 9/11 issues. And I went through a dark depression, dude. Like I was drinking heavily at that time. Lost my mom. She was my best friend. Drinking heavily, eating a lot of fast food, and just not taking care of myself. Wife gets accepted to pharmacy school. We move off to a strange town 3 hours from where I live now, and I knew nobody. And it was a very dark time in my life. My wife and I kind of grew apart because she was fully entrenched in pharmacy school and busy as hell all the time, doing some traveling as well. And here I am. I don't know anybody, and I'm just boozing and fast fooding all the time. Took up golf as a passion there, and just started playing golf and drinking all the time. And that's really what caused me to gain all my weight. I went through a health journey on my own. I dropped the 60 pounds when I finally decided to get my act together. That was after 3.5 years of living in this town. My wife started making some comments to me, and I finally decided, look, I'm headed down a real dark road here. Can't stop gaining weight. Can't. I feel like shit all the time. It's time to do something. So I joined the gym, dropped the weight, and I became very passionate about health and fitness and health and wellness in general. We moved back to Dallas from that small town that we were in, and I started working for a wellness company doing health coaching at the corporate level. And I worked there for several years, 5, 6 years, and realized during that time that I had way more to give to the world than what I was capable of giving at the corporate wellness level. I don't know if you know much about corporate wellness, but people essentially are incentivized by their insurance company to participate in a wellness program. 90% of the people that I spoke to were not there because they wanted to change. They were there because they were forced to do the call to get the points for their insurance. But that gave me my first little taste of actually talking to people that wanted to change. And that's really what really was the catalyst to me saying, you know what? I know that I don't want to be punching a time clock the rest of my life. I don't want to be living out somebody else's dream. I know that I can do more, I can give more, and I can serve more if I do this on my own. And so in 2018, I sat down at the dinner table with my wife. She was pregnant at the time. We had already had one kid. She was pregnant at the time, which at that time ended up being a miscarriage, which was a blessing in disguise. And I sat down and I said, honey, I got to tell you something. She's like, what's going on? She knew I was not happy. She put my head in my hands, dude, at the dinner table, sunk and just started pouring tears and was like, I can't do this anymore. I am miserable inside and it's time for me to do my own thing. And I'll never forget her response. She's like, completely flabbergasted. We have a kid. I'm pregnant, and you're going to quit your job. And I was like, that's what I'm telling you. So, Dad Bod Health was born, and in 2018, and about 2 years ago, I met my business partner. We quickly decided that we wanted to rebrand. He was not Dad Bod Health. I was no longer identifying as Dad Bod Health. And the Dad Bod podcast went away. We rebranded to the Fatherhood Experience, mainly out of a passion and a desire to serve our men at the highest level possible and help them become the most elite version of themselves. Health and fitness is simply the foundation for living your best life. And what we saw a lot of, and part of the reason we were rebranded, is our guys were coming in, getting healthy, and wondering what was next. And we knew, both as fathers, that we could provide leadership skills, communication skills, and really the foundation for helping them level up in all areas of their life, building better connections at home, leading by example, cultivating better relationships at home and in their communities, as well as working on their finances and leveling up in their career, their business, or whatever that looks like for them. And so that's really, in a nutshell, kind of how I got to be with you here today, man. And excited to expand on anything you'd like to hear more about.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. You unpacked a lot, and I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really. I just. I went through a very similar experience on the latter half of that story, and I find that when you do unravel some of the problems you have, like overweight, which I also had to lose some weight and go to the gym, and you start taking care of your finances and all that, what you're actually doing is you stop lying to yourself and you start keeping promises to yourself, right? So now
100%.
yeah, you're right. So all of a sudden, now that you're doing that, you're not on this passive, crazy other person's journey. You're on your journey. And all of a sudden
100%.
you're like, oh shit, what do I do next?
Yeah, no, it's great. And what you just said is something that we talk about a lot. And the reality is this, man, is and that's why, the health and fitness piece is like, you look at the weight loss industry as a whole, and it's just a lot of surface level nonsense, right? The fad diets, the pills, potions, replacement shakes, gimmicks. And I talk a lot about that because at the end of the day, like, all of those things will work, but they're all short-term solutions or short-term results, right? That's all these are not sustainable long-term solutions. The only way that you find a sustainable long-term solution is to stop paying attention to the surface level nonsense, be brutally honest with yourself, and get to the root cause of why you're fat or why you're struggling, whatever area it is. Your
Being honest with
relationship.
yourself is
Yeah.
not easy, man. It's not an easy
No, it's not.
task.
It's not. But when you realize that taking extreme ownership, to quote a Jocko Willink, or when you realize that being brutally honest with yourself and taking full responsibility for everything that happens for you in your life, right? You've got to get away from the victim mentality. And when I say victim mentality, you know what that is, because it's a very popular thing these days, right? To waller in our sorrows. But guys don't realize they're playing the victim mentality because they do it at a very micro level with certain things in their lives, right? And so extreme ownership and taking full responsibility for your life means you take full response. And this is our core value number one in my family. My son, my 7-year-old, already recites this because I make him recite it because I'm pounding it in his head. But when you take full responsibility for your actions and your inactions with everything that happens in your life, it's all on you. And that's a core foundational principle of being a leader. Because here's the thing, dude, like, when you do that, then everything else in your life is now your fault, right? If you go out and get hit by a car and you don't die, you can still find a way to turn that into your fault, even though the asshole that hit you, that they're to blame too. But you walked out in the street at that very moment, right? So that's extreme ownership. Is like, I'm the one that's in control of my life with everything that I do. And when you get that brutally honest with yourself, your perspective on life just changes, and that's just the reality.
Well, if you look at like the Israelites in the desert, they're wandering in circles, right? Trying to figure out how they got in the desert.
Yeah.
Like, the tyranny back there was way better. I knew what to deal with it. But
Yep.
here's the deal: that desert is that moment in time where you take ownership.
100%.
That's weird, and it's the least comfortable moment in time when you don't know exactly how your adventure is going to go,
Right.
but you take full responsibility for things, and all of a sudden you can control the outcome. You cannot
Yeah.
control. You can't. I can't control your outcome. I can't control the guy in the street's outcome. So if I start blaming things I can't control, now I'm starting. You start lying to yourself is
You're
what
going
ends
down
up
that
happening.
victim road. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
a,
then you're
it's a,
raveling, you're raveling up reality, and you're trying to tie it and twist it into a knot and say, "I blame you, reality. I want you to fix it." And
yep.
now you just have to wait for that to slap you in the face as it unwinds because you're not more powerful than reality.
No, no, and you bring up some good points because here's the thing: is like you can't control really the only thing that you can control are your actions on a daily basis, right? So life is going to kick you in the face. Life is going to throw you adversity. Someone's going to get sick in your family. Someone's going to die. Someone's going to have a tragic injury that happens to them or a tragic accident. Someone's going to get cancer. All of these things are going to happen to us at some point in our lives because we know enough people where the statistics just show that adversity is coming your way. So the more that you can get comfortable with these situations and continue to weather the storm, right? It's getting, and I don't like the saying get comfortable with being uncomfortable because I don't think it's necessarily like you don't have to get comfortable. No one loves, you know, it's the opposite of what the body does, right? Like it's the opposite of homeostasis, right? So you don't have to necessarily get comfortable with being uncomfortable because it's discomfort, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be prepared for
I
it
was
because it's
just going to
coming your
say
way
that
no
too.
matter
I was
what.
going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming no matter what. And so the better you can be prepared mentally, the better your life is going to be because now you have the ammunition, but you're also building on the tools that you need to overcome certain situations. And we live in a very soft, immediate gratification society, right? So now as men, we have to actually go out and choose discomfort. You hear about a lot about the cold showers and the ice bath, right? These are only a thing because we're not savages anymore, right? Like there was no men living off the land or no cavemen thinking about taking a cold shower or an ice bath because they endured that anyway, right? This is a thing now because discomfort is not it's not common. You have to actually seek it out to be able to weather the storm. Going to the gym, that is a form of adversity, right? You're choosing to go do something hard and put your body under a little bit of pain, under a
Well,
little bit
pick
of
your
pressure.
poison, man. Pick your poison, because
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, Jason. If you don't do those things, something else is coming your way. Being
you're paying the
overweight,
price.
yeah, you're paying
Yeah.
either way. So pick
You
your
can pay
poison.
on the front end with some pain and discomfort, or you can pay on the back end with some pain and discomfort. And I've lived the fat life and the fit life. I've done both, and it's the choose your hard, right? It's
Yeah.
choose your hard wisely. For
Well,
me,
which
I
one
would
is your
rather.
journey though? Which one is your journey? Is it the one where other people pick your journey and your circumstances pick your journey and your journey's picked by adversity that's outside of your control once you get too far and now you're playing the blame game? And I'll be honest with you, it sounds great to be I'm a victim this, but there's no award for being a victim.
No,
There's no
no, no,
grand
no.
prize. There's no medal. There's no like.
Right,
There's no banner to be cut when you get there.
right.
Uh,
Men are meant to endure pain, dude. Like without pain and adversity, we don't grow, and that's why. And I forget exactly how the saying goes, and I know you've heard it 100 times.
well,
And
we're stronger. We're
um,
stronger than our circumstances.
oh, 100%.
We
You
were
know, and
designed to
here
be
I
stronger. We were designed to be stronger than the things that are put in front of us. It's just a matter.
absolutely
It's just a matter of are you on the journey you're supposed to be on? And
right.
I find that when I work a 9 to 5 job for somebody else, it's almost as if I'm living my life for someone else's purpose.
Sure. And now there's two ways to look at that because I know being a business owner or an entrepreneur is not for everyone, and that's okay. What I think you have to realize is, or I think what people have to realize is that if you hear me talk about living out someone else's dream, if you are content and fulfilled with working for somebody else, and you're utilizing the rest of your life to build the life of your dreams. Because there's a lot of 9 to 5ers out there who utilize their 9 to 5 salary to then go invest and do, because it's so consistent, right? Being a business owner is not consistent, especially in the beginning. It's a hard ass journey. And so you lose a lot of that consistency. But when you're getting a consistent paycheck and now you're utilizing that time and those resources to then build a life beyond what you're doing on your 9 to 5, totally cool. Like my wife, she grew up in a business owner family. My father-in-law. How long have you lived in San Antonio? Let me ask you that.
I think we bought the house 5 years, almost 8 years. Been here almost 8 years
Okay,
now.
so do you were you much of a river walker? Do you go down there much at all, or did you know? Are you familiar with the area at all?
Yeah. I've been to San Antonio. We did the river walk.
So do you know did you are you aware of the restaurant called Mexican Manhattan that was right on the Riverwalk? Do you know
I
that? It's
don't
shut
remember that
down
one.
now.
Yeah,
No,
I don't remember
okay.
that one.
So this restaurant was in my wife's family since like the 50s. Her grandparents bought this, and they're a Lebanese family who bought a Mexican restaurant. So anyway, Mexican Manhattan was owned by my father-in-law, and this was like right on the corner of one of the corners of the Riverwalk. We used to go down there and watch the river parade every Thanksgiving, right at the day after Thanksgiving. This was our big tradition, and they owned that. After COVID, shut it down, sold. They wanted out anyway. The reason I tell you that is because my wife's family is very entrepreneurial, right? Like dad had to own the restaurant. She was in that mentality for a long time. And so she became very anti-entrepreneurial, and she loves the 9 to 5 because generally she can put it down when she leaves there, right? Me, I don't get to put business down. There's always problems to solve and fires to put out. But she thrives in that environment. She went to school for 10 years doing that. And so I get it. She's very anti that, but she also has hobbies and life goals beyond that, right? And so it's really, you got to decide where you get your fulfillment on. But I want to touch on something that you, because I don't want to forget to touch on it, because you mentioned it when we first opened, and you mentioned following through with your promises that you make to yourself, and I think that's where a lot of guys go, or a lot of people go wrong, is that when you're trying to navigate life, right, and you wonder why, a lot of people wonder why they struggle, and it's you talk about the victim mentality. It's like, why am I not moving forward? And I think you, again, going back to the brutally honest piece, it's like, if you get brutally honest with yourself and you actually do a self-evaluation of, say, the last 30 days, like, why have I not made progress in the last 30 days, and go back and look at the critical tasks that you tell yourself you need to be doing on a daily basis. Are you actually following through with the micro commitments and the promises that you make to
I was
yourself,
just
right?
going
And
to
I
say
think a
that.
lot of
Yeah,
people,
yeah. I was going to say that the
it's
micro
crazy
stuff,
to me.
the small stuff
Yeah.
really, really makes a huge impact.
Huge.
And I'll be
Huge.
honest with you, I need to touch a little bit on this. When it comes to telling the truth and everything, I don't think people realize before you start lying, you have to lie to yourself.
Yes.
The base foundation of that lie is that you started lying to yourself, and then it
Yes.
slowly unravels. And again, you end up in the desert circling a mountain forever because you can't
Yep.
find where you're supposed to be because you're not on your journey. You're on this
Right.
weird spiritual journey that has nothing to do with you, and it's far
Right.
worse than working for somebody else. It's
Yes.
literally a life that's not a pseudo life that you're trying to plow through. You got all these tools that you can't utilize while walking in a circle in the wrong damn direction. Those tools are useless.
That was me, man. That was me at the corporate level, dude.
It's most of us. And I understand we got creature comforts, and I understand the roads are 100 years old. And I know not everybody can be self-employed because I like my
Yeah.
electricity, and I need a guy to get paid $30 an hour to keep my electricity running.
Right.
So there is a time and a place, and there's a purpose for everybody's existence, and I understand all that. But I agree with you. You should probably actually scaffold your life. So you got a base foundation where you work for a 9 to 5 job, and you have this long-term goal to be a woodworker or an artist or whatever it be.
Sure.
Maybe there's some scaffolding you could have in between, where you make bottle cap openers for a bunch of people that isn't really your passion, but it facilitates that long-term goal to have your own wood shop outside of your house. And so
Yep.
now those bottle cap openers are literally paying for that. So you got a scaffold. I got my 9 to 5 to keep my family going because I made that commitment, and that's
Yep.
not going to change anytime soon. And as you scaffold, you find little niches for the world because I don't think people realize we're more connected than we think, and
Oh yeah.
we affect way more people than we realize. And there's so much out there that every time you go on an adventure, even if it's a micro adventure. So like one of my adventures that I have every morning is I can't touch my phone until I do 5 things. I give myself 5 dumb tasks. Make your bed, do your coffee, brush your teeth, read the Bible, whatever it be. It's 5 tasks. No matter how menial they are, that's a commitment I made to myself, and I keep that
I
promise
love
to
it.
myself. And there's a reward at the end. Instead of playing on your phone for 2 hours and feeling like a piece of shit, now I've turned the phone into a value system where you get hyper focused. How fast can I brush my teeth properly? How fast can I make my bed? And now I'm super efficient at 5 things that used to take 30 minutes. Now they take 10 minutes. I can add 5 more things to that list. Now what
Yeah.
I'm saying is an abstract version of what I do. I got a very complicated version now because I've been doing this for a while. But that's part of my scaffold. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's levels to this,
Yeah,
man, and
and
like,
as you layer that in, you start realizing, oh, sometimes I just don't tell the whole truth, or
yep.
sometimes I omit a truth, or sometimes I'm just embarrassed to be honest with this moment. And
Sure.
you start shaving those away a little bit, man. It hurts a lot, but I'll be honest with you, it seems like you slowly end up on this path that's way
No
more
doubt.
narrow than you thought it was, but has such a broader spectrum of opportunities. And then you could go back to the how many people you affect and how many people you
Yep.
and before you know it, the bottle cap thing matters a lot. And this is just fictitious. I don't have a bottle cap anything, but
Sure.
but you don't know who was supposed to hear the podcast. You don't know who was supposed to work at your factory or your little wood shop, or you don't know who you were supposed to touch while on that power line. All those things matter way more than we realize.
Yep. No doubt, man. And I will tell you that, and I say this a lot, but like what you're talking about with the lying to yourself, excuses, and I think that for the majority of people out there, most I'm not even gonna say. I'm gonna say 90% of people, and probably the number's probably actually higher because if we're being honest, like we do this exercise at our retreats called the Creator Exercise, and really it's I think David Goggins might have talked about this. Yeah, he's talked about a chart before with your higher power, and I think I heard it somewhere else, but we've kind of created our own variation of this, and with the creator exercise, it's like no matter what you believe, whether you're agnostic, atheist. I used to call myself an atheist, and before I really knew what the fuck I was saying, and now I have a very strong relationship with my higher power. And so we do a little exercise like, hey man, if you're not a God guy, like if you think we came from dust, cool, but there's something up there that's bigger than us. So what I want you to do is envision this process, right? And so it's basically, hey, your creator, whatever your creator is, um, created the most elite version of you. And we have our guys literally go through each area of their life and write down like what your health and fitness is like, what your relationships and your marriage is like, your relationship with your children, what your finances are like, and really what your purpose is and your core values and what you stand for as the most elite version of yourself. And the truth is that most of us aren't ever going to reach that, right? Like most of us aren't ever going to tap the full potential of what our creator put us on this planet to do. And so when you know that and you're aware of that, well, then, like for me, I'm not going to say that I'm anywhere close to perfect, and I'm not going to say that I work as hard as some people do. But when you know that, there's this sense of like burning desire to say, well, shit, man, like the worst thing that I could ever look back on and with life or on life is the word regret, right? Like I used to I was a director of nursing in a nursing home. And I didn't tell you that part of my journey, but when I was living in that small town with my wife, I was director of nursing at a skilled nursing facility and talked to a lot of the people in there. There was people in their 50s and 60s in this place, man. And like I would talk to some of these people and like, what's the, what do you look back on life? What do you wish you would have changed, or what do you wish you could have done different? And like majority of the time it's going back, like they can't get their time back, right? They look back and I regret doing this, I regret doing that, I regret not doing this, I regret not chasing my dreams. Like when I hear that kind of stuff, it's like, holy shit, this is reality, man. We got one life. And so when I take that sample and I put it in my own mind and I'm like, okay, like I know that we operate in our community with a 1% better every day mentality. Some days you might get 3% better. Some days you might move backwards, but as long as your foot is always on the gas trying to move forward, well then you have a recipe for success as long as you're willing to put in the work. And so for me, when we talk about the right, most people make excuses, including myself. Not most people, all people make excuses. I don't care who you are, if you're fucking Elon Musk or whatever. You make excuses, right, in some form or fashion. When you make excuses, excuses are nothing but lies that we tell ourselves when we're not committed to the task at hand, right? So I use the gym example a lot because it's the easiest for most guys to understand. I say guys, most people understand. If you tell yourself you're on a you've gained some weight, right? You gained some weight over the holidays, you're ready to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds. Okay. You tell yourself you're going to the gym on Monday morning, and let's say it's the first week of the year, and you say, and this is my resolution, and I'm going to do it. You tell yourself you're going to the gym on Monday. Monday rolls around and you don't go. What you've done is twofold. You've lied to yourself and you've told your brain, your subconscious mind, that I'm a liar. And even though it was a very small dose, right? But you've also gotten further from your goal, right? So now you're moving, like you're pulling yourself apart because the further away you get from your goal, you and I both know the harder it gets, right? A person that has 30 pounds to lose is going to usually have a simpler journey, a simpler path than someone who has 100 pounds to lose, right? And so when you look at it like that and you think, okay, well, I'm getting further from the person that I know I'm capable of becoming because I know that I'm capable of working out and taking care of myself, but you're also lying to yourself. And what happens is when you make that first lie, your subconscious mind's like, all right, well, we've done this before. Well, now you start doing it over and over again. So I'm just going to start next week. You do this 3 or 4 times in a row, and the excuses start to become easier and easier to make because now your subconscious mind doesn't believe you, right? So now when it is time to actually go to the gym, like fuck you, I've gone 6 weeks now where you've chosen the comfort path. I'm going to keep choosing the comfort path, and it's very easy to talk yourself out of it because you're so used to the
I've
line,
had that.
right?
I've had that inner struggle, man. I've had that inner
We've all
struggle
had it, dude.
where I've
Yes.
literally said, whatever's inside of me telling me I don't have to go to the gym, you step aside. This is the new normal. And
Yep.
boy, was that. I think that's where self-esteem is invented. When
Yep.
when
Yep.
you,
Yep.
when you start lying to yourself, I think maybe that's why my grandparents and our forefathers didn't have to worry about self-esteem. Is I don't
Yep.
think they had such a problem with lying as we have now in our
Right.
society. I don't know if there's a correlation to the creature comforts that we have, and being able to be deceitful with ourselves. But there seems to be a small correlation there. If things are too easy and you don't have to struggle for your adventure, it seems like maybe that's why that's reciprocal and why we end up where
Well,
we can
and
and
I was gonna mention this earlier, and we were in this cycle, and I know you've heard this saying before, but this is being tossed around lately. But like the whole hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. We are there. We are at the very bottom of this cycle, right? We are at the weak men create hard times. What do we have right now? We have hard times, and we have a very weak society, right? We have a very soft society.
Well, hold on.
It's
We got
now,
something worse than a soft society. We have a society that has pathologized the rationale for doing whatever they want.
yeah, it
Because
is,
once you
and it's
lie
sad.
when you lie and you set up a society where I can take advantage of you if I can get away with it. Do you
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
happens? Do you understand how the Germans got where they got and the Russians
Oh
got where
yeah.
they want last century?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't very hard to do when
No.
everybody at the bottom was willing to go along with it.
Yeah.
If the police
It's the herding
officers
mentality. Yeah.
and the Regan and the Zach and the Jason and all these guys say, no, I won't put up with this. I'm an
Yeah.
honest man and I want to keep this. My grandparents would have never put up with half the crap.
No,
that
no,
happens
no,
now.
no, no.
And they wouldn't have put
No.
up. And another thing, too, that people don't realize is men weed out bad men, especially good men. And
Yep.
the hierarchy of strength and the hierarchy of self control and the hierarchy of having some self-respect, you could weed out the bottom 10%, so that
Easily.
society
Yeah.
didn't have to even bother with that nonsense, and
Yeah.
instead they have the capacity to actually flourish.
100%. And flourish is going to be down the road for us for a while, because the thing is, man, like, we've got very dark times ahead. And I think that a lot of people, for me, I've gotten to the point where the more tuned out I stay on social media,
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
even
for
watch the
me,
news anymore. Don't even watch the news,
no,
man.
no, no. I don't watch TV, but I think my kryptonite is Twitter. And if I find myself scrolling on Twitter for very long, it starts to have an impact on my mental health. So there's a fine line between staying up to date with what we've got going on in the world right now, because it's pretty fucked, as you well know, but then also not letting it consume you to the point where it starts to mess with you mentally. Because going back to what we talked about earlier, right? Like, I can't control any of this. I can't control that we're about to send another $10 billion to the Ukraine. I can't control that they're trying to push out the middle class and then come in and offer us their new world order system with all the digital currency and all this nonsense. I can't control that. But what I can control is working on my own personal excellence, leading my family by example, leading my community by example, and trying to inspire enough men along the way that are going to say, hell no, we won't go. I'm not conforming to your nonsense, right? So I'm doing what I can to continue to push, my voice out there on our show, on other shows, but also showing that, like, this is not a conspiracy theory anymore, dude. This is reality, and the life that we're living right now and the things that are unraveling in front of our eyes are something that I never imagined that you and I would be talking about right now. And I don't want to go on a full political sideways here,
No, no,
but
I
what
don't
I
like
will tell you
politics
is,
either. Yeah, I don't want to go too
yeah, but
crazy.
but it's reality, man. It's being thrown in our face.
Yeah.
And when you look at our culture right now and the cultural issues that we have at the public education system level, and really all the government agencies, but I like, again, when I go on and I read about, my wife is Catholic, and so she's very big on, like, the things that are happening in the school right now, where they're showing kids, like in some of these blue cities, showing kids porn, in seventh grade, and these books are all in with porn, like cartoons drew, the gender stuff being pushed in the schools, the pronouns and things being pushed on these kids that are 7 and 8 years old. This is not okay. The trans community with these, I don't know if you've seen these little shows they've been doing popping up for elementary schools and middle schools. Like, there was even one in Austin not long ago. This is not okay, and most people are not okay with this stuff. I brought up my wife because I don't know if you've seen these Satan clubs that are popping up. I saw one the other day on Twitter, and I sent it to my wife. I was like, check this out. These are literally happening. So she went on and she's like, I like to do my own research. And she went on, she found 6 or 7 of these things. As soon as she Googled it, popped up where, yes, there are after school Satan clubs available for parents that want to enroll their kids in these schools, or in these little after school care clubs, right? So you got this trans stuff, men posing as women, flopping it all around in front of kids. You got the gender stuff. You got the inclusivity. You got the body positivity. You throw all these things together, and you clearly can see where we're headed as a society, and it's very, very, very damaging to our culture. We've got a culture problem in this country, and it's going to take a long time to unravel that. Normalizing pedophilia, right? Like, this is something that's happening now worldwide. Why are we doing this? Well, I have my own theory, and I'm sure you do too, but the names from that list are eventually going to come out. And so the more we normalize pedophilia, minor attracted people now, we've got a cultural issue, dude, that is massive. And until
And
real men,
there's a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of the levels of things that are going on. But
it's sad, dude.
my
Yeah.
focus right now is, though, that what you're doing is the only solution to one
Yes.
major problem, right? As they unroll digital currency, as they unroll robots or self-driving cars,
Yep.
or we get airplanes that go around the moon a couple times a year, or whatever it be that we're going to
Yep.
be doing in the future, that's coming down the pipelines right now.
Yep.
What is going to be the difference between how our society is going to navigate this is how many moral men are in charge when the decisions,
100%.
and how many people on the ground level, whether it be the wires or the politicians or the sheriffs in the local towns,
Yep.
we have to have enough morality in our hearts, enough consistency, lack of lying, where we could say, well, this is good, this is bad, because we're going to navigate digital currency whether we like it or not.
Oh yeah.
We're going to navigate cars that drive themselves whether we like it or not. But
Oh yeah.
there's going to be some pros and cons. Now, are
Yep.
we going to be on the journey we're supposed to be at? Are men going to be doing what they're supposed to do? Are women going to be doing so that we can see, oh, this car shouldn't be doing this, or maybe we shouldn't do this with the currency. Maybe we should do this instead. And I'll be honest with you, that's because we're not going to go back to the Amish. We're not
No.
going. We're not going to have paper money forever. A
The good
nickel's
old
not gonna be
days, even
worth
from
it.
the 80s and 90s, dude. When I grew up was in
Yeah.
the 80s. Those good old days are gone.
Well,
Like,
no, they're
come
not
home
completely
when the
gone.
street home.
I found Mayberry here in the Hill Country. My kids, my daughter works for a guy that literally does everything the way it was when I was a kid. She's
I
a
love it.
waitress, and she basically has experienced life as close to the '90s as
That's
I
great,
believe
dude.
humanly possible. You know what I mean?
That's great.
Now, granted, you got the phones and you got Instagram,
Sure.
and it does eat away at the girls a little bit. And I don't know any
Yeah.
way to get away from that completely without
Dude,
going
I tell you
Amish.
what, man, I want to I'll interject something there. First of all, the 80s and 90s, come home when the street lights come on, right? Like that's when I grew up. Mom was like, when the street lights come on, you come home. I won't even send my kid outside right now. Like, I'm
No,
not
you're
that
making a
protective.
mistake. You're making a mistake. You're training your child to believe that all strangers are danger.
Right? No, I
And
get it.
that's a mistake in and of itself. Now, that's my personal opinion. I'm not telling you what
Sure.
to do or anything. But
Well, my kid's 7, dude. He ain't going out
oh
to the
yeah,
street
yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on.
Okay. I've got 6 kids,
But-
dude. I got 6 kids. I don't
Yeah.
have the luxury of babysitting everybody all the time, and I have
I
very,
understand.
very.
Yeah.
I don't want to call them lax, but there are a lot of blanket rules I have, and
Sure.
most of the kids have to kind of. There's a tier system. If you're 12 and you're watching a 6-year-old, you're in charge.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
don't
played
know.
some ground rules. You set your family up to alleviate some of the hard work on your shoulders. I love it.
Yeah, well, I don't have any other version of this that's going to work properly.
I
Because
get
if
it.
I sat down and been the judge, jury, and executioner of every problem, it'd be
Oh,
impossible.
dude, your life would be consumed by problems. Yeah.
and I don't have the time. I've got a day job. I've got this, and I've got a lot of other stuff on my plate, and that's besides driving everybody around. So
I understand. I
yeah.
understand. Well, real quick on the Instagram thing, and I think this is important for the audience because, dude, when you talk about the Instagram and the girl thing, so I was listening to a podcast episode the other day of one of the shows that I listen to a lot, and there was an ex, I want to say he was a Green Beret on there, and he's very highly educated, Marine or ex Green Beret, one of the two. Anyway, highly educated on the intelligence and all the the algorithms. He was very in tune on that, and man, when he started talking about the TikTok and Instagram algorithms, and obviously TikTok's owned by China, and so they're setting it up to obviously destroy culture here because their algorithm is in China is not what our
That's
algorithm is.
different. Yeah.
Their algorithm in China is set up in a way that it rewards intelligence for their Chinese students, right? So like if you're doing something that's amazingly smart or talented, that gets rewarded. Their algorithm here is set up, the more skin you show as a female, the more likes, the more attention you get. And he went deep on this, dude, and it was very eye-opening for me. He's like, what's happening is you've got these high school girls that are getting all this attention on TikTok and Instagram, because now Instagram's kind of like, okay, well, if they're succeeding, we're going to succeed with it too. And I know that when I go on Instagram, I don't follow a lot of accounts where girls are posting stuff, and that shit still pops up on my feed. You have to physically go and block or unfollow and mute all these accounts over time to clean up your timeline because they still make it in there, right? And I don't want to see that shit. I love my wife. I quit porn a long time ago, and I'm not trying to see that stuff, right? That's somebody else's daughter, and I don't want to be exposed to it. And so for me, when I was listening to this, dude, he's like, the TikTok algorithm is set up in a way where it rewards high school girls showing skin. What happens is older men in their 30s, 40s, whatever, start giving that attention because they're like, oh, hot girl on my timeline. I'm going to like it. I'm going to comment. I'm going to make her feel good about herself.
That's so crazy.
Well, so now she's getting her attention fill from online from these older men. And what's happening, and this was really what made me sad because I'm seeing it. what happens is then the high school boys lose out. They're like, those girls don't want anything to do with the high school boys because they're getting their fill and their attention from the older guys. So now the high school boys turn to video games, violent video games, porn, substance abuse, because they can't get a girlfriend. And now you've got this massive cultural problem that is only going to compound. And I really hope that TikTok goes away in this country because, dude, it is not good for teenage girls. That's for
Oh
sure.
no, it's far worse than you realize, man. I don't think
Oh,
you
I
understand.
can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
because I've had this conversation. This is rather a redundant
I
rabbit
bet.
hole. It's a redundant.
How many girls do you have out of your six?
I have 5 daughters.
Shit.
Took me 6 tries to get a boy.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got my dude. I got my dude. He's
How old is your dude?
He'll be 7 in June.
Okay, cool. Love it, dude.
No, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful. I have no complaints, really, to be honest with you. But
No, it sounds like you got it set up well. As long as you do,
well, no.
when you have
I'm
six
not
kids,
perfect. I'm not perfect, man.
I understand.
I've got. You know what I noticed? Do you want to know what I know? One, everybody loves to talk, and two, it doesn't take much to scratch the surface to find a lot of tragedy, even at the highest level of the greatest person you meet. No matter how much shimmer shine there is, everybody's got more tragedy than they realize.
Oh, 100%. And anybody that doesn't admit it and doesn't, anybody who shies away from vulnerability simply hasn't overcome those wounds yet, right? For me, when I first started my journey and I started talking about my story, it took me a while to realize, dude, when I talked about the drug stuff, it took me a while to realize that, man, I was just pain and misery watching my mom deteriorate in bed all day. So my way of coping with that at the time was to utilize substance to block my pain out, and I'm living in a fantasy world, right? And the more escape that you do with this, whether it be alcohol, substance, porn, gambling, whatever it may be for you, those are all just they're all just vices to cover up the pain. And at some point, you have to cope with that and deal and work through some of that trauma. Because the more that you talk about it now, like I said, let's talk about the retreat for a second. When I host a retreat now, when Zach and I are doing our thing, I'm known as the crier, and you'll like this. All right. So when we very first retreat, we're doing the one of our exercises, and I start the exercise off, and I go into like an emotional. I'm in like an emotional state, right? Because like here I am, it's my first retreat. I'm with all these guys. They paid a chunk of change to come out and get value from us. We're having an awesome time, and it's a bit of a, it was a bit of the pinnacle of my journey to this point in my journey, right? Like holy shit, like this is why I'm supposed to be doing this. I had a very like coming to God moment, if you will, at that first retreat because like I felt so empowered to be able to give these guys a platform. So I went first, and I lost it. And what it did, and me crying in front of these men, what it showed me was like these guys haven't had an opportunity to get vulnerable and to be able to let out some of these wounds they've been holding in their entire lives, dude. We had a 70-year-old man tell us for the very first time in his life, never told a soul about how he was sexually abused as a kid. And it's literally ruined his entire life. He's never dated anybody in his whole life because he felt like such a low life loser from being sexually abused at like 4 years old. This was told to me for the very first time in a 70-year-old man's life. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, like I have to use my platform to be vulnerable and give other men the permission to do this so that they can heal their own wounds and be able to move forward in life, man. And that's the pinnacle for me. Is like now we get to do this on a regular basis, right? And see these guys come out, heal from some of this trauma, bond with their brothers, and move forward in life. And I think that's why I do what I do, man, is seeing those kind of transformations.
Awesome. I love it, man. And I'll be honest with you, I want to go back on some of the vices and stuff. Most of the vices that we deal with, they're just missed opportunities and missed goals. You were supposed to go on this journey, but instead you watched porn. You were supposed to go on this journey, but you got stuck with gambling. You were supposed to do something amazing, but you got stuck with whatever that vice was. And that vice was the flip side coin of what you were supposed to, your potential was supposed to be. And
For sure.
another thing that you'll be able to recognize, your emotions will tell you when you're on the wrong journey. They tell us when we're not doing what we're supposed to do at that goal and opportunity. We can tell when we missed the opportunity. We can tell when the goals are going wrong, and our emotions kind of guide us. So they're all built together, almost as if we were built this way to go on an adventure, fulfill a goal, be stronger than our circumstances, go above our adversity, not blame other people, and actually become more. And they've proved this.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you can keep your promises to yourself, not lie to yourself, go on the adventure you're supposed to go on, you actually unleash some of the potential in your genes.
Agree.
When you become self-employed, for instance, or you do what you're supposed to do, for instance, all of a sudden you have to learn how to edit software or edit video. All of a sudden you have to learn how to use tools on that pole that you didn't expect to need to use. And all of a sudden you become hyper efficient at things that had nothing to do with your adventure that you would have seen before you started your adventure. And you unleash a whole nother part of who you are.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, dude. And I think
How fulfilling
I,
is that to know there's an unlimited amount of potential inside of you during each adventure? Each goal met, each goal accomplished creates a whole new version of Regan that makes you unlimitedly available for the next adventure.
yep, no
It
doubt,
never it
man.
never ends. It never really ends. Jason,
No,
it's amazing how much we have built inside of us.
100%, dude. And when we talk about potential, right? Like going back to what I said earlier, if you could just embrace the fact that you're never going to reach your full potential, but I think there's a fine line. And we talk to our guys a lot about this. It's like there's a fine line between striving for perfection while accepting your imperfections or embracing your imperfections along the way. Because I truly believe there is no neutral in life, right? So you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And if you are complacent, you're stagnant, you're not just coasting. You're literally moving backward because that's time that you're wasting by not moving forward. And so when you embrace the fact that you're never going to reach your full potential and you can develop this constant desire for growth or constant thirst for growth in all areas of your life, right? For me, it's kind of a bucket list, and I'm sure you've heard of the 4 F's before, but for me, it's a checkbox in my head every single day, right? So it's faith, family, fitness, and finance. Those are the things that I know that I got to check off for the day. Those are the most crucial things in my life. Okay. Fitness, I only work out 4 days a week. And so today is one of my days I don't work out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't work out. I'm a Monday through Thursday guy. If I miss Monday through Thursday, it ain't going to be made up. Those are my days. It's ingrained into my brain. Okay. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I already know I'm not working out. The fitness box still has to be checked. So for me on Fridays, I know that I'm going to eat a cheat meal on Friday night. Well, what else do I need to do on Friday? Well, I need to make sure that I extend my fast longer. I do a modified version of intermittent fasting. I extend my fast longer to allot for those calories on Friday. I will make sure that I drink the water that I normally drink so I don't slack off just because I'm not going to the gym. I'll make sure that I take my greens powder and my turmeric and like my little supplement thing that I know that I'm going to feel better both mentally and physically if I do. And so, on Saturdays and Sundays, I try to get out and do something active with the kids in the yard, go throw the ball around for the dog, take a walk, something so that I'm checking that box off in some form or fashion. It might not be a gym workout, but it's something that's health and fitness related so that I check it off. Family. I am very big on family, right? I have there's a little bit of guilt that I have on my end when it comes to family because I am a business owner who obsesses about business. And so for me, I do my best to be present in the moment, but right now it's no cell phone in front of the kids as much as possible, right? Spending quality time with them, having meaningful conversations with my older son. I used to ask the surface level questions, right? How was your day? Did you have a good day today? You get shitty surface level answers with that. So I changed my format and I have 3 questions that I ask him every day now. Going really well. Communication has opened up. So that's great. Family also. I know that my wife, when she comes home from work, she does not like dishes in the sink. I know that if my day goes smoothly and I make sure that that's a priority, that I empty out the dishes, I make sure they're all loaded into the dishwasher, and the kitchen looks somewhat tidy. Her job is easier when she comes home and she has to deal with kids and family and bedtime and all that. So I've checked family, right? Gratitude journal. I do at the first of the day, every single day. God is always the second thing that comes to mind in my gratitude journal. Number one is always the fact that I woke up. So they're kind of related, right? And then at the end of the night, but before I go to bed, I always do some prayers, talk to God, talk about, kind of reflect on my day. So that box gets checked. Finances always gets checked because I obsess about business. It's always on my mind. And so that's the way that I operate my life, because I've found the more simple that I keep it on my critical tasks, at least, the more momentum that I can build. And then when I do mess up or I miss a day, I'm not self-sabotaging. I'm not beating myself up, because I can look back and be like, you know what? I've won the last 4 or 5 days. It's okay if I fuck up once in a while. I'm still moving forward.
That's awesome. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to have to come back and look at some of the stuff because you do a couple things that I do, but not the same. And I'll be
Sure.
honest with you. Every chance you get to modify something a little bit more, because you can't give blanket answers to people that are going to
No.
work for somebody else. Whether it be a diet, whether it be exercise, whether it be the days
Yep.
you do it, when you do it, how you do it. All those things kind of have to. You have to take a plethora of everybody else's experiences and narrow down the
100%.
ones that are the best for you and stuff. And I love some of the things you say because I've experienced some of those things and did it a little bit differently. So maybe I could tweak a couple things because you never know what's going to work until you do it, man. You really don't
No,
know.
yeah, that's a great point. And my routines have changed over the years too. And that's all because I put the ego aside and I said, you know what? I'm going to listen to people who know a hell of a lot more about personal development and personal growth than I do. And building elite level habits is really what we're about in the fatherhood. Like when we talk to our guys, it's like, I'm not going to teach you, I'm not going to hand you a meal plan. I'm not going to tell you that can't have this, you can't have that. I'm going to teach you a way and a system to live your life where you're going to be able to stack winning habits on top of each other and be able to drive your life forward without worrying about, oh, I'm going to stress eat today, or I'm going to self sabotage because I missed my workout yesterday. Man, it's not about that, dude. It's about digging down deep and figuring out what you truly want out of life, and then putting your foot on the gas and going, right. And so for me, I've learned a lot over the years. I also incorporate a 6 phase guided meditation. And I've gotten away from that. I used to do it every day. In fact, that's what led me to going down the road of calling my dad, and actually apologizing to him for all the shitty things he's done to me, right? I didn't want that on my shoulders
It's such a
anymore.
weird world, isn't it?
It's weird, right? But I did it. It's over. Our relationship has not gotten any magically better, but now I don't carry that burden around with me, right? And so, but the way I learned about the 6 phase guided meditation was somebody else's podcast. An ex NFL All Pro tight end, Tony Gonzalez, I'm sure you know, talked about how he was visualizing doing this 6 phase guided meditation, and he started visualizing catching winning touchdown passes and setting a key block in the playoff games and doing all these things, and started coming to fruition on the field. And I'm like, okay, Tony Gonzalez is an all pro, fucking badass athlete. He's very intelligent. He's on a podcast with a very great host. Maybe I'm going to try this out. And I did. And it transformed that period of my life. Right. And so if you can set your ego aside and take little nuggets from people who are excelling in something that you might already be excelling at, but you might want to get a little bit better. Dude, it's worth every opportunity to try things out. Not every one of our guys becomes like a master meditation expert. But when they do it and they come to the retreat, they definitely feel a hell of a lot better. So at least I gave you a little taste, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, here's the deal. When you're on those goal-setting adventures, when you're on the path to where you're supposed to go, there's targets that you're supposed to hit.
Yep.
So as you aim and as you shoot, you get a little bit more accurate. As you aim and as you shoot, you may actually get a little bit closer. Now your goal is getting closer to you. It's getting easier to hit the target, but eventually you get too close, and either you got to move the target or you got to go past the target. So maybe some of the things you're doing may not be a part of the overall journey forever.
Yep, no doubt.
For instance, do you believe you're going to be doing 4 days a week of gym at 95 years old?
You
at the
know,
intensity that you're doing now.
not at the intensity.
So my point
Um,
is though, you may not be meditating in the same manner you started with
sure,
4 years from now, and that
it's
doesn't
been
mean,
modified. Yeah,
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 yeah, it doesn't mean that the target's gone. But sometimes the target gets behind you,
yep,
and you have to leave that. It may not be
yep,
meditation, but you may have to leave something behind.
yep. I agree with
And
that.
you don't even know until you get there, and you're like, shoot, if I want to keep on moving forward, it's time to move on and replace this target with a completely new target that's 1,000 meters away. And I'm
Yep.
not even
No,
going to
I
hit
agree
it
with you.
today. I'm not going to hit that target today, but I'm ready for the next target.
I agree, and I think what a lot of people need to realize and fail to realize, at least in the beginning, especially when you're trying to go on a personal development or personal growth journey, right? Like if you're the minute that we stop growing is the minute that we start dying, and I know that you and I aren't ready to start dying, and so the way that I see it, man, is like if you if you're willing to try things along the way and tweak your systems, your routines, your habits a little bit, like that period of my life, I needed that meditation, man. Like that's what led me. I did it every day for like 6 months before I finally worked up the courage to call this asshole and say, "Hey, man, I just want to tell you I'm sorry for everything I did," right? And let it out. And so I think if you have to be willing to try things because there's a lot of weird little nuances to things out there. You know, you get this hustle culture that you see on Instagram. It's like up at 4 a.m., 2 hours of deep work, hour of affirmations, like this crazy shit schedule. Dude, I wake up at 7 a.m. every day. I ain't getting up at 4. You're not going to get me up at 4. And I'm not going to force that. And so for me, I'm not going to fit into your success box. I'm going to create my own path of success for Jason's way by being willing to try things along the way, but also accept the fact that when something's not working, why am I going to continue to pound the table on that thing that's not working? Right.
Well, now you're stifling your growth, and
Right.
you're not on the path that you need to be on right now. And
Self awareness is key, man.
yes, and if you don't keep at least a casual momentum, the lies can creep in real easy.
Yep.
And so you got to be aware of yourself enough to say, okay, it's time to shoot at this target. Oh, it's time to refine, use a new tool, leave that target behind, whatever it be. You got to be telling yourself the truth the majority of the time to even be able to recognize, because there's
Yep.
doors available to you all the time and you don't even know who are you to know which one to even open.
Yep.
Unless,
Yep.
so yeah, I'll be honest with you. There was a bunch of stuff. One thing I did notice about your Instagram, you had that magic pill, and it was like a bunch of list of things that needs to be done. And in the
Yep.
background, you got Jim Ron talking. And I'm not gonna lie to you, he was one of the defining moments in my life. I've read one of his books, what is A Power of Ambition, and Jim Ron was a game changer for me, man.
Yeah.
He, it's amazing how much a
I
book.
use his video clip or music clips a lot because for us, dude, like as you've heard today, it's really about leadership, you know. And so when you start talking about leadership, it just when you can become the ultimate leader in your own life, excuses go out the door, and that's really what we're trying to do with our guys. Is like, dude, keto will work for you, Whole30 will work for you. Is that really why you're fat? Right? Is that really why you're not moving forward in life? Probably not. Probably ain't the workout you're doing or not doing. Probably ain't the diet that you're following or not following. Let's talk about the excuses that you're making on a daily basis. And so for me, you know, when I started to look at personal development from a health standpoint. And if you think about it, dude, even the mindset stuff, right? Like what is personal development? It is making yourself a priority and looking for ways to constantly grow and get better, right? And so what do we do for this? Well, we prioritize sleep. Without good quality sleep, your engine's not going to run like it should, right? We work on our mindset and we manage our stress. If you're fighting high cortisol levels all the time, you're going to be sluggish. You're probably going to gain weight. If you're not working on your mindset and feeding it the right things all the time, your mind is not going to be in the right place. You're going to be thinking about negative bullshit, negative stuff that's pulling you back in life. If you're not working out, you're not getting the benefits that you need, the energy, the weight maintenance, the strength. Uh, Most of personal development, one could argue that all of it is directly related to your health. If you are getting better and reading and consuming knowledge that it's going to move you forward in life, well, you're also feeding your brain. You're probably delaying the onset of Alzheimer's or dementia, or eliminating it because you're continuing to challenge your brain. You are gaining knowledge that's keeping your focus and making you focused on the path and the task at hand. And so when you start to think about personal development from a health standpoint, like the bulk of it is your health habits, right? There's not much about personal development that isn't related to health. And so when I started to see it like that, I'm like, okay, like when I talk to my audience, I want to give them the most simplistic path forward, because I made a lot of mistakes when I was fat, dude. I tried the surface level shit, and I wasn't ready to be brutally honest with myself and say, you know what? It's about the excuses I'm making. It has nothing to do with the diet, the celebrity workout, the P90X. Like, are these things important? Yes, but it's just one piece of the puzzle, dude. It's a slice of the pie. It's a daily dose of medication is
The,
really
the
what it is.
P90X, the reference was fantastic, man.
I mean, look, it is, you get bought into these celebrity workouts, like, go, the
Yeah.
T25, the Sean T, like
Yeah,
he's going to
yeah.
get you in
We gotta
shape.
touch. We gotta touch on that. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed this to be almost like a universal truth. The more you put money into trying to facilitate your growth, the less you grow. You can't
Yep.
rely on the money to do the work for you. And you see
Sure.
these diet pills or these diet plans. And I remember when I was losing weight, there was some girls at work. They're like, okay, I've got this pre-workout drink. I got this weight loss drink. I'm
Yeah.
like, how much you spending a month on all this stuff? She's like, oh, about $150. She gained 5 pounds. Not being mean, I love her to death. She's a sweetheart. Definitely not going to throw her name out there. But I'm like, I'm eating eggs and steak in the morning, or eggs and sausage. And at the time,
Yep.
eggs were 75 cents a carton. I literally saved money going on my journey because I relied nothing on anything but me just grinding through, figuring out what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And it saved me money to lose weight, whereas other people are spending a fortune and they eventually
Yeah.
peter out. And it's just...
That's surface level nonsense,
yeah,
dude.
well, you
All
can't
that.
rely on the money to do the task for you. Money is very specific orientated. It's a tool, and it's only a tool. It's not a means to an end.
No, and I alluded to this earlier a little bit, but like the weight loss industry essentially sets most people up to fail, because what do they want you to do? They want you to keep coming back and buying their stuff, right? The replacement shakes, the MLMs, the Optavia and the Herbalife and this. What happens when you stop taking their stuff? You gain the weight back because you didn't learn the lifestyle. Learning the lifestyle is about being brutally honest and getting rid of the excuses. If you're looking for shortcuts, you're focused on the wrong thing, man. You got to unravel a lifelong box of habits that need to be raveled the other way, and you can't do that by going and taking a replacement shake. And
Yeah,
so
oh yeah.
I'm
And I'll be honest
go
with
see
you.
the recent post. Go see my post after the pill post. There's one, the next post over. I did a little carousel on the mistakes that I made in my journey, dude. And I highlight that. Like, it's not about that stuff, man. You gotta you gotta get down to the root cause, which is all in
Oh
between
yes,
those
it's
six
the
inches.
emotions, it's the lies, it's all that stuff layered
Yep.
together, and they
Yep.
all are intertwined in that little knot that you make, and that knot has to be unraveled, or it smacks you in the
100%.
face and it unravels itself.
Yep.
So I'll be honest with you, what I have noticed, and this happened to me recently, personal growth seems to be directly related to how quiet you can be.
I can see that. I'm a loud dude, so
Well,
that
no, okay. Well, hear
but I
my
understand.
example for a second, right? So I'm having an issue with a couple things with the podcast, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to build the studio or whatever, and I'm at Home Depot like last week, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build this. I need these brackets, these 2x4s. I need all these things, and I sat there and I said, shit, I don't have the money for this, and I stopped. I put my hand up and I set it on that railing that's holding up the 2x4s that are about head level, and I just went quiet for 10 minutes. And I literally said, what am I going to do? This is not going to work. X, Y, and Z is actually going to get harder if I do W, T, W, and C. I'm like, I can't do these three things. It makes the other three things worse, and it's going to cost me money. I was like, I have to figure out another way. And my mind would not allow me to open up the idea of going a different direction. I have to build the studio. I have to build the studio. I have to build the studio. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Slow down, slow down, slow down. I got to think. And I went quiet in Home Depot for 3 minutes. I turned my table 90 degrees. Everything was fine. It didn't cost me a penny.
Yeah,
It didn't cost me a penny. It actually solved another problem. It solved a whole other problem on top of fixing the other three. So, and how many times in our lives that all we needed to do was sit on the edge of the bed for a minute and just go quiet, or turn off the radio in the car and just go quiet for a minute and let your subconscious fight with you until you have this little argument inside your mind where you say, okay, I'm in charge, or okay, there's an alternative that I need to work with, or okay, here's what's going to happen. I need to do something different. I got to change something because this is not the path I need to go on. And it just takes that quiet moment. How many times did that happen to someone and they done, I'm going to go look at porn. Done, I'm going to go look at TikTok. Done, I'm going to go play a video game. And you just missed this golden opportunity to go down the road you were supposed to go.
No doubt.
You just weren't ready for that quiet moment. We need to be quiet sometimes.
Yeah. No, we're not meant to scroll our phones 8 hours a day. That's for sure, dude. You got constant stimulation and no delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the magic pill most people need in their life. And we live in an immediate gratification society. And
well, how far can we go down that road? Because think about this, okay, right? You got a meth head or a crackhead. Every 2 hours, they got to go make $40. And I worked in a drug rehab scenario where these guys told me, I want to get done with this. I just can't get rid of the hustle mentality. I can't get rid of the street life. I can't get rid of that grind. Every couple hours, I got to go make $40. And I literally thought about it, okay? What if you worked at McDonald's? Could you possibly work at McDonald's where you have to delay gratification for 7 days to get your paycheck? Even if you were clean, could you do that? Could you? No, I don't think asking you to wait 7 days for your paycheck is asking much. But from that perspective, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. So when you're looking at a kid at 18 years old and they're looking at TikTok or they're looking at Instagram all day, can they even functionally do the things that were mundane for our grandparents or even possible for us to do? TV wasn't that bad. You had to delay gratification for a while to obtain television, assuming your parents would let you watch it because they wanted to watch the news.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Quiet is going to be a huge factor in moving forward for a lot of people that want to actually succeed at anything.
Sure.
Including myself. There's still more quiet I need. And I've learned some techniques. Like I said, I will hold back on the phone or I'll turn off the radio in the car. But there's never enough quiet.
Yeah.
I never use any music when I go to the gym. I literally go headphoneless.
Me too.
Yeah. I find it almost cheating.
Yeah. I agree with you. I've done that myself. Once my headphones broke about a year and a half ago, I quit. I need the headspace time, dude. I agree with you. I'm not a big radio in the car guy in the morning for sure. When I take my kids, sometimes it's radio.
I used to love talk radio. I lived to Howard Stern. I listened to Rush Limbaugh. There was all kind of. Then there was podcasts of Joe Rogan and all. And
I don't need all that stimulation.
Yeah, but I loved it, and I understand. That was one of my things. I don't have a lot of voices.
Dopamine, constant stimulation.
Yeah, and it's an issue. Yeah. It definitely. And even if it's good stuff, too much good stuff is still too much stuff.
No doubt.
So it may not be meth, but you listen to, say, Jordan Peterson for 8 hours, you miss something. If you are listening to him, and no matter how great his rendition of what you're supposed to do, it's still too much.
Yep.
Yeah,
no doubt. No, it's been good. I agree.
Yeah. So, Jason, are you the head guy with the fatherhood coaching? I see that you got another guy there, Zach. Are you guys co-equal?
Yeah, he's my business partner. So, we are the head guys. Yeah.
You guys are the head guys. Okay, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the big thing that you guys are doing right now? Is there like a specific retreat? Is there a specific tool that you guys are using or class? Are you really heavy into publishing stuff so that you can get the word out there? What is the big thing that you're doing right now?
just growing our community, dude. We host a couple of retreats a year. We're continuing to pump out content, continuing to pump out our podcast, and really just growing our mission and spreading our word. We have our top program, which is the Fatherhood, and the Fatherhood Experience is our podcast name, but also our umbrella company name. And so all of our programs are underneath that. But the Fatherhood is our baby, and that's really where we create a transformational experience inside that program. And we have a full educational platform, fitness, everything's customized to our guys' lives, dude.
Scaffold.
No
Sounds
guy's
like you
life,
scaffolded, man.
yeah, no guy's life is the same, man. And so when we say customized, we literally meet with each one of our clients and go through their life, right? Your home workout setup is not the same as my Planet Fitness setup. Your travel schedule is not the same as my stay-at-home schedule, right? So that's really what our mission is, dude, is to help as many fathers become the most elite version of themselves as we possibly can.
And the corporations can't do this. The insurance companies can't do this. They can
No, dude.
incentivize some watered down versions of this. But
Yeah.
again, until you get down to the nitty gritty and find out why this guy's in the desert, his
That's it.
desert, and he's not on his trail, until you
Yeah.
find out exactly the root causes, the emotions that are clicking every week, or whatever's triggering them, or whatever bad habits are in there, insurance companies will never have the capacity to get the nuances that you've said several times. And I think guys like you have the magic element. So that's what you guys are doing right now, just pushing everything as much as you can and
Yeah, man,
growing.
just trying to grow. That's it. We've got a good thing going, and our passion is just helping our guys become the most elite version of themselves. And so at our in-person events, we get to connect with our clients. Some of our clients have become very close friends, and some of what we got a guy that almost died 2 years ago, and now he's one of my closest friends.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, getting the opportunity to serve at the highest level and have get paid what you're worth and then form lifelong relationships with some of these men, dude, I'm living out my purpose, man. That's
There you
exactly
go.
why I'm
I'll
here.
be honest with you. When your passions meet your purpose, and all of a sudden your passions, because people don't realize you don't pick your passions pick you.
Yep, yep.
And not only that, but your passions, if you're doing them correctly and you're on the right, your correct road that you're supposed to go down, all these scaffolds, like your podcast, Instagram, all these things that you didn't realize you'd be doing after a while, become
Yeah.
like alternative means of income. They become alternative ways to reach out to people. And before you know it, there's extra stuff. And that's how you know you're on the right path. That's how you know
No
you're
doubt.
doing the correct journey.
Yeah.
That's how you know
Yeah.
you're not. And it's an amazing thing to see. And I love watching these journeys. It's one of the reasons why I do the podcast. I want to extract everybody's personal passions. I'm looking for
Love
that moment. Yeah.
No, yeah, no. Today's been fun, dude. I'm glad we did it for sure.
All right. So what do you see in the next 18 to 24 months?
Growth, depending on what happens in the world, right? We don't know what's coming. But for our company, growth, man, continued growth, continue to reach as many guys as we possibly can, and just show them, hey, there's a better way, and we want to help you become the most elite version of yourself. And we need to become brutally honest with ourselves, just like I've said a lot, man. Becoming the ultimate leader in your own life, so that you can lead by example for your family, your communities, and influence those around you in a positive way. When you raise your standards as a man, other people's raise their standards as well. And that's just the way that life works. And so when you inspire others, a lot of our guys love to pay it forward, right? They come into the community, they change their life, and they pay it forward. And we love to see it, man. And that's 18 to 24 months growth, more retreats, more impact.
Awesome. Jason, I appreciate you so much, man. Go ahead and plug away your stuff so everybody can know where to find you.
Yeah, dude, the best place, man. We've got our podcast, which is called The Fatherhood Experience. We're on all platforms. So come check us out. And then, you can check out my personal Instagram is at Jason A. Priest, just like a priest, Priest. And then our business page is at The Fatherhood Experience. And we do content on both pages. Those are probably the best places to find us, man. And if you guys need any resources, you can go into the show notes of our podcast. And we've got all of our links and stuff there. So.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time. I always enjoy the conversation. I learned so much.
Yeah, dude, I had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was great. Yep, no doubt.
All right. Hopefully we get to do this some other time.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I got a hard stop at 2. That's why I messaged you. And I was like, All right, we're going long, and I don't want to, because this is my high level meeting, and I'm like, fuck, these guys are counting on me to be there. But
Oh,
no, it's
okay. No,
good, dude.
I understand, man. Well,
Yeah,
I wish you well. I'll tell you when this gets published. I could just
yeah.
reach you with the email, right?
You can hit me an email or yeah, do the email. My team helps with the account sometimes. Hit me an email, and then if you share it on Instagram or anything, I'll share it as well.
Awesome.
So
I appreciate it.
cool. All right, man. Hey, it was great connecting with you, dude. We'll have to stay in touch. Do it again sometime, and you have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thanks
Enjoy.
again. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Bye.